Welcome to SCI Career Talks, where we connect students with professionals sharing their real-world experiences and career journeys. Today, we're joined by Melissa Jannuzzi, who will share insights into her career. Let's get started.
Yes, so excited to be here. Thanks for having me.
So, Melissa, would you mind telling us your role and what a typical day in your position looks like?
Yeah, absolutely. So I actually just started in this role about a month ago, so it's brand new. But I'm their new Associate Director of Communications for Citizen Watch America. It's actually, I don't know if everybody's heard of it, Citizen Watch. You probably have seen it one at least in your lifetime, because the company's been around for over 100 years. So if you don't have a Citizen Watch, your mom, your dad, your aunt, your uncle definitely does. And the company actually is based in Japan, but I work for their headquarters in the United States.
Since it's based in Japan, do you ever have to go to Japan or speak Japanese?
No, so we do speak with their headquarters frequently, and we'll have like monthly calls with them. But we might be planning some trips over there in the
Mhm.
future. But myself, I have not been there yet, but I believe some of my coworkers have.
Oh, that's so cool.
Yeah.
If you don't mind me asking, because its headquarters are in Japan, does that affect the culture of your company?
Yes, absolutely. Like you can tell that there are, different pieces of the Japanese heritage and their culture within the Citizen Watch America company. And just in the office, like how we interact with each other, it's a little bit different. And there's just these like subtle nuances. And I think a lot of it has to do with respect. Respect is such an important piece of the Japanese culture. And actually, when I was at Rutgers, I took a class on Japan and its culture, and it was like one of my favorite classes. So it's weird now that I'm kind of going full circle and actually then working for a Japanese company.
That is so cool. Actually, now that you're talking about records, can you tell me about your academic background and how it might have prepared you for your professional career? You touched on it a bit.
Yes.
Did they know that you took that class?
No, I actually brought it up like I think once I like started the job, but what I so I did go to Rutgers, graduated 2017, double majored in history and communications, specialized in public relations. And when I kind of look back on my time at Rutgers, history communications is actually very different, but there is something that is the same across the two, which is all about storytelling and how you create the story for a specific audience. Um, it's just done in different areas in different ways. So that was really cool to love these different subjects, but then there's this red through line for both of them.
Mm.
Um, and I think in a lot of ways for me, communication is a little bit more practical to be able to work in, for a brand, to really be able to work for corporate America versus academia is typically where you're kind of going with the history route. I I think a lot of my classes kind of prepared me for that storytelling and how to create the storytelling in real life. And then I also would say that I did have a couple professors, specifically Professor Mark Beal, who I'm sure a lot of folks within the communications department is familiar with. I mean, he has such amazing real life experience that he was able to bring into the classroom and speak about. And it made this idea of communications, which is sometimes not tangible, very tangible. And I started to understand like what a career could look like. So that was really extremely helpful. And I think too, someone like him, some of my other professors really pushed me to create connections, even outside of Rutgers campus, which helped me eventually like make the inroads that I needed to, to be able to land a job and develop relationships with clients and things like that. So,
That's amazing. Oh,
yeah.
I'd love to hear that.
Yeah.
Was there a single factor or particular experience you had that was a turning point in your career?
Yes. There was one point in time when For my first company that I worked with, Taylor, it's an integrated marketing agency. They're based in New York. Awesome clients. I worked with Capital One, like AIG. They work a lot with Diageo, which owns like Smirnoff, Guinness, Captain Morgan. It's the biggest spirits distributor in the world. So really great experiences there. But when I was probably about like 5 years in, one of our client partners was going out on maternity leave, and they actually came to our agency and said, "Hey, listen, we need somebody on your team to basically backfill for this person. We're not going to fulfill the role internally within our brand, and we really want Melissa to do it." Everybody at my agency called me MJ because we had another Melissa. So, like to differentiate, they called me MJ because my last name's Jannuzzi. So they were like, "We want, MJ to support us." And that was just like one of those moments where you're like, "Oh, all my hard work has been like paying off. Now I can actually like, still work for my agency, but get a little bit more behind the scenes look at what it is working for a brand on the corporate side of the business versus an agency side, which now that I'm on the brand corporate side, it kind of gave me a little bit of like a pure view into that. It kind of, you pull back the curtain a little bit and you learn a little bit more. So, looking back, I'm like, that was actually a really big moment for a couple different reasons. And I think one of the reasons is just to see what it's like working more so in-house versus um, out of house at an agency.
I think it's amazing that she thought of you. You must have really made
Yeah.
yourself like be a point of contact for people or showed your skills in some way for them to think of you to fill that role.
Yes, 100%. I think one of my strongest skill sets at my agency, my old agency, Taylor, was that client relationship. Just knowing that like it's really important to be responsive, to be timely with requests, to really like make sure you're listening to their needs and addressing their needs, and just always being really kind and understanding. And I think that is a very strong skill set of mine just from my personality. So I think at the end of the day, what I did was build trust. And I think that trust is something that like can't be taught.
Mhm.
Um, so, um, so I think maybe that was like the results of the trust.
That's amazing. I think you're totally right. Trust
Yeah,
is like the foundation of a lot of relationships.
yeah,
How do you balance any of your technical skills and soft skills in your role?
yeah. I, I think about this a lot. I think it's very hard to like continue to learn your technical skills because, in my role, I'm essentially managing all the communications for the brand externally. So that can be from like earned media, social media, events, influencers. And when you think about social media, and influencers, that's always changing. They're always changing the algorithm. They're adding new little things that you can use to show your brand in new, cool, creative ways. And then you have this big thing like AI, right? Like
Oh yeah.
coming into the industry too, you have to kind of learn like, what is AI? How do I use it? How do I use it in a safe way for my brand? So I think keeping up with the technical skills is extremely hard. I would say probably harder than it was like when I started, which was about 10 years ago. Um, and then you're kind of managing as you're the soft skills part of it is like as you're taking on more responsibility, you're typically managing a larger team. In my current role now, I'm not managing a team, but I'm working with a lot of individuals across the organization that maybe are more senior than me, maybe are a little bit younger than me. So the way that I communicate with them needs to adapt to like who they are, their role. Um, you know, I think a lot of times how long they've been with the company, right? You kind of adjust how you communicate with them because you start to assume that they probably know more than you. So, how do you ask them questions and things like that? So, adapting to your soft skills is, I actually think, very, very hard as well. because it's at the end of the day, it's about people
Mm.
and understanding who you're speaking with.
Do you set time aside to develop these skills or like a professional development time?
Yeah, exactly. And unfortunately, a lot of times it's like you got to do it outside of work,
Oh, okay.
But I am like actually taking a course right now on AI.
Oh.
So yeah, and I'm using I don't know if anybody's familiar. It's called Section 4, and it's I forget the guy's name. He is an NYU professor. It will come to me. It will come to me as soon as we drop off the conversation. But he's like a co-host of Pivot and he owns this company. And it's good because it's a lot of like marketing, business, finances, all elements, right, of typically a corporate job. So it's really helpful to understand, different parts of different departments, how they work together. So I really need to like learn more about AI. So I become a little bit more skilled.
That's a lot to balance. You're doing amazing.
Yeah. Yeah, yeah. I think it is a lot to balance, but you find the time and it's one of those things where it's like I think the good thing is to try to find like classes that you don't have to have such a rigid schedule
Mhm.
and you can kind of take it on your own time. So if I'm like, all right, I have like an hour on Sunday, I'm just gonna like focus on that. But then maybe the next week I won't touch it because it's just a crazy week and there's too many things going on. And I think just giving yourself that flexibility is very, very important.
Mhm.
Um, and also I think something really important for individuals like graduating, going into the workforce,
Mhm.
kind of creating those boundaries for yourself. Yeah.
I think that's super important. I love that you said that.
Yeah.
What was the biggest obstacle you encountered in your career and how are you able to overcome it?
Yeah. So the greatest obstacle is when I first started out, I was an intern for Taylor, the company I was just mentioning before. And then once I graduated, I started there full time.
Mm.
As an assistant account executive and worked there for like 9 years. But unfortunately, over the summer, I was actually laid off from the job. So that was definitely a very difficult time, but it was a really like beautiful time, a really great opportunity because now I can kind of go out on my own, really test my relationships and try to secure a new opportunity for myself. And all those skill sets that I've been talking about, building relationships, staying in touch with people, being a hard worker, asking questions, those skills I like put into hyperdrive. And the day that I learned that I was getting laid off, it was a very tough day, but I really took the day to just thank everybody that I was working with, saying how much I like enjoyed working with them. Thanked, the leadership team, saying the same thing. But then the next day I got up and I said, you know what, fresh start. Let's
Mhm.
hit the ground running and try to reach out to as many people as possible. And then um, it was good, great. It was a really like a sprint to try to find a new opportunity, but I was able to find this current opportunity that I'm with, which is so exciting within a month. And that is really, really challenging, especially in this job market right now. So I think a lot of people in the industry know it's a very crazy time. There's just so much that's changing, just because of, a number of factors.
Mhm.
Um, but it was something that, could have been like very much a hardship and was actually just a really great opportunity. So I would just say that anybody that, is going through a challenging time, take that and run with it and try to make it into a positive.
I'm sorry you had to go through that challenge, but you
Oh.
did well with
Yeah.
it despite.
No, yes, always. I have found that like most challenges in my life are 100% blessing in disguise.
Yeah.
So, yeah.
I am curious, when you found this new position,
Yeah.
was it through networking or some kind of skill or approach that really got you the position or through the
Yeah.
door?
Yeah, 100% it was networking, like staying in touch with people. Um, 3 women that I currently work with I worked with them at my previous my previous role. So that's how I actually had
Mhm.
learned about the opportunity and was able to learn more about it.
Mhm.
So again, it's really those relationships. It's so important. And I think you just don't know where people are going to end up. So I think always just staying in touch with people, going out of your way. This whole over the summer, this really like re-taught me to check in with people more routinely. And now I'm like picking that back up again. I'm trying to do things like this, like really try to talk to other people just so that I'm constantly being able to talk with others, but then also give back. I think that's so key because so many people have given back to me throughout the years. So,
That's amazing. I love
yeah.
Do you have any advice for aspiring professionals in your field or in your degree?
Yes, 100%. I would say like read like as much as possible. And I don't just mean like your Instagram or your TikTok feed, like really try to read trade magazines,
Mhm.
the trade publications, read business publications. When I was in school, I bought like a subscription to Wall Street Journal and I was reading it all the time. I think it's really important to understand the economy, you know, business relationships. I also would say like go outside of your comfort zone at Rutgers and start to communicate with people outside of Rutgers, whether it's like through family or friends or like through your internship or whatever it might be. Go to events and things like that in the nearby area. I mean, New York is so close to the campus as well. So really try to break out, create those relationships. LinkedIn is such a big thing. When I was in college, I would just like reach out to people on LinkedIn and I ended up talking to plenty of people on the phone just from like reaching out and saying, "Hey, I love your company. Your role seems so interesting. If you have a few minutes in the next couple of weeks, I would love to just like pick your brain." And it wasn't anything like saying like, "Hey, can I have a job?" It was more so like, "I want to learn." Like now is the time when you're in school to learn and absorb so much information. And then I would say too, when you're transitioning from college to a real life job, company culture is such a culture shock, right? Because you're coming from a college campus and then you're going into the real world. I would say like embrace that culture, like embrace the work culture, because I know it's going to be so different for the next generation. I even think sometimes like I have culture shock and I'm 10 years older than this generation. So my advice is just like embrace it, like learn how to insert yourself into the culture, but then also making sure you're bringing your perspective because, a lot of young people are hired, right? Because we want their perspectives, right? As brands, we're trying to sell to them. So we want to know what's cool, what's trending, like how are they thinking? How are they going to think in 2 years from now? So I think making sure you develop your perspective is also really important.
I love that. Thank you so much, Melissa.
Yeah, of course. Thank you so much.
I think our students are gonna really love this video and appreciate so much of your insight. We're gonna end the video here and say goodbye.
Thank you. Happy Friday, everyone.